Welcome to Six Figs. I'm Kyle, and in today's video, folks, we're talking about the one and only Dfinity Community Grants Program. It has been making some waves, or some typhoons, which I survived a typhoon in Japan last week. So, what's happening right now? Well, community members, some community members, are upset with Dfinity about their grants program. It's a small number of them. And as folks, a community grants veteran, I can speak on this because I've been around the community grants section for like the last 2 years. I just completed my third grant. I've had about 5 or 6 different community grant managers, and I think that I'm going to tell my story of what it was like back 2 years ago when I first started getting my community grants, when the price was at like $18 or $20. Now, here's what's going on. Back then, the grants program was absolutely terrible. If you needed something from the grants program or the people, you didn't know who to call, you didn't know who to contact. You'd send 5 or 6 emails, and before you would get a response, it would be like 5-6 weeks later. And then you would barely get an answer, or you might have another question, and guess what? You got to wait another 2 weeks. The unresponsiveness of the people running the grants programs, who are no longer at Dfinity at this time, it was frustrating, very frustrating. I wanted to pull my hair out because I wanted to get down and make content under the grants program. I know of another individual that went through the same thing, and it was just a terrible experience back then. Like I said, you could not get an answer, response, reply, nothing. Even after you got your grant, it would take like 2 months to get paid. It was just nuts. So when I first started off in the Dfinity Community Grants Program, I secured my first grant for $25,000 at like $18 to $20. Now, you might think that's a lot of money, but folks, that's only like $1,500 ICP. You could get a $5,000 grant right now at these prices and get more ICP than I got at the $25,000. So when you think about apples to apples, it really wasn't a good deal for me. I didn't care. I believe in this project. I'm a long-term holder, and I support Dfinity. And let me tell you guys this. Dfinity recognizes hard work and your support. And I'm a living proof of this. Because when I first started off in the grants program, folks, I didn't know it at the time, but I was on a wild journey ahead. And working my ass off in the Dfinity's Community Grants Program opened up so many doors for me at Dfinity. When Dfinity launched FastBlocks, which was the world's first, it was the world's first decentralized news agency built 100% on-chain. It was censorship resistant. I was so happy to be one of the writers on FastBlocks. And how did I get to FastBlocks? Well, Dominic Williams had this idea of creating this decentralized news agency, and I reached out to him. I said, I don't know what you have planned, but all I know is I want to be a part of this. 2 months later, Dominic calls me up. Hey, I've got a guy for you to meet. I met up with Ricardo, who introduced me to a gentleman named William Laurent. Now, William Laurent, I happened to stop off in Japan to see William because we were staying in nearly the same area as each other. And I can tell you, William has been one of my greatest critics when it comes down to my content, especially when it comes down to the writing side of things. Now, William Laurent was a chief of staff director of FastBlocks. He was the guy running the entire show. So with that said, I was able to provide him some writing samples, and basically he was like, yo, what you've got is some good material, but your writing sucks. And what I was able to learn from William as he took me graciously under his wing taught me so much about writing, folks. I am so thankful. It was such a blessing. Here I have one of the world's best writers that I get access to, and I'm getting paid to write articles on Fastblocks. I mean, what a blessing. You can't pay for that type of experience. William was a great person to work for. He cared. I had nothing but the highest regards for him as far as the way he handled himself, the way he managed his crew of writers, how respectful he was, things like that. Man, that was just so amazing. After a while, I wasn't writing as much content as I should have probably been for Fastblocks. You get paid by the article. I had so much things going on that it was just really hard for me to contribute articles. So I had to get let go from Fastblocks. And William was the guy to do it. But I had no hard feelings because I had been blessed with this great experience by Dfinity, William, things like that. I moved on to my second grant shortly after, and I was able to complete that over the course of like a year. Price was down to like $10 at that point. I don't remember what it was. Anyways, going forward, Dfinity, and this is all, folks, I want to preach to you all about why you should work your ass off when it comes to these grants and not just be some cash money hustler. Because Dfinity saw that I actually cared about the community grants program. I actually cared about Dfinity, the internet computer, the community, which I all still love to this day, even more so than back then. But they also saw that and gave me the opportunity to be a part of a lot of the internal meetings and things like that. I had become almost like a trusted outsider to Dfinity and the internet computer. And here I was listening to all of these insider meetings, things like that, on what's going on within the ecosystem, what they're doing. A lot of the meetings involved very technical demonstrations about how they were going to solve problems within this blockchain, this and that. A lot of the stuff was just way over my head. But it was very interesting to gain that experience and trust to be a part of, kind of felt like I was a part of Dfinity in some way. And so, I am so thankful for that. Once I was wrapping up my second grant, I, took a little bit of a break and stepped away from some of the internal comms and things like that. I just needed a break, right? I might go back to it if they'll have me someday. Well, anyways, I ended up opting for the latest grant because what happens is right towards the tail end of the second grant, about a year ago, they ended up shutting the community grants program down. And they did this because they were going to revamp the grants process. And like I had just mentioned, the first grants program like I got involved with 2 years ago was horrendous. Like I said, you couldn't get a response from the people running the thing. And there was 2 or 3 people, like I said, I don't think they're there any longer, and this isn't meant to bash them, but the program sucked. And it was just so terrible. And so what happened was when I got done with my second grants program application, or my second grant, they shut the grant program down to retool it, revamp it, really tighten the strings on it, which I was fine with. So basically, they ended up opening the grants program back up. I think I was awarded a grant back in April, sometime 2023. I opted for the $5,000 community grant, folks. And really, when it comes down to it, I was at a point in my grant career now where I just, I just don't I'm just not interested in the ICP too much, but I've got a nice bag. And so I just felt like $5,000 right now, there's not much ad revenue coming in. I'm going to give them their bang for their buck. Now, there was a few other tiers. I believe it was 15,000, 25,000, and maybe like a $50,000 grant that you could get. I opted for the lowest tier level grant because I wanted to see what it was like. But I will say this. There was a lot of people that came to me that were struggling with the KPIs and things like that and understanding them. Myself included, I was somewhat critical of the KPIs at first because I didn't understand the process and things like that. It was tough to understand. And it was tough for a lot of other people to understand. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. It is what it is. Once I got the KPIs under control, figured out where my comfort level was, I am definitely on board, and I've got my $5,000 grant secured. There was a lot of people, though, like I said, reached out to me. I must have had 15 community grants members reaching out to me. And they were going for a lot of the higher dollar, $15,000, $25,000, $50,000 tier grants. And, I'm not here to, toot my own horn here, but this is a bear market. My YouTube channel has just over 12,500 subscribers. I went from getting well over 110,000 views per month the last bull market down to like 20,000 views per month. And I have not really stopped creating content. My videos still do good. I still get, 500, 600, 700 views per video after about a week's time. So that's great and all. But even a channel like mine that's established in the community, and my Twitter handle is over 6,000 followers, it's tough for me to hit some of these numbers above the $5,000 community grant level. And so when I saw that there was a lot of other people that had like a tenth of the followers and subs and experience that I had reaching for these $15,000, $25,000 grants, I knew, and I also warned these people that it might not be a good idea because they would be biting off way more than they can chew. And so I think this is the case for some of the people that are angry with Dfinity and the grants program. They feel like they're being jerked around or whatnot. But truth of the matter is, content's not at the high level that it should be when you're applying for a $15,000, $25,000 grant. You need to have high-level content. You need to have an established base of viewers, things like that, well above what I have, in my opinion, during a bear market. During the bull market, maybe you could gain views and more views on posts and videos and things like that. Bear market, it's very tough. So these same people that are applying for a $25,000, $15,000 grant in the bear market, they might be able to get that in the bull market. I know I could get that in the bull market. But in the bear market, that's very, very tough to do. It took me, I did my grant at my own leisure. It took me 4 months to complete my grant. Maybe 5 months. 5 months. I started in April, about mid-April. It's now September. I just finished this thing up around September 1st before I went to Japan. So with that said, folks, a lot of these people, I think, bit off more than they can chew. The grants management has to maybe tighten down on them a little bit more because They are just not performing. I don't know what the situation is. But as far as my experience is concerned with the newest grants program, folks, like I said, the KPIs were confusing at first to figure out. If you have any questions about it, reach out to me. I'm happy to help anyone that has questions about it. But, this whole program was redesigned so when you have a question, you get a response within 24 hours. You don't have to wait 3 weeks to 5 weeks like I used to have to wait and pull your hair out. Yeah, you might not like what the grants managers have to say because you're underperforming and you just, don't have leather skin like I do. It's tough, when people are, trying to get on your case, if that's the case, about your performance and things like that. It's not fun. I've never had that issue because I am always out there performing my ass off and doing the best job that I can. I'm not trying to apply for a grant and finish the damn thing in a month and a half or 2 months. That's bullshit, in my opinion. So my experience, here it is, folks, with this newest grants program. It was a little bumpy at first. Like I said, getting over the KPIs, but the rest of it has been absolutely great. I've gotten my payments. I've been able to easily I've documented everything that I've done, put it on spreadsheets for them to look at, and it has gone perfectly. They know exactly what I'm doing. They know exactly what my numbers are at all times. I've been extremely transparent with Dfinity in that way. I'm not sure what these other people are doing, if they're trying to find ways to skirt the system. I'm not sure what's going on. But all I can say is that my experience with this newest grants program has been overall good, with the exception of trying to figure out the KPIs, like I mentioned before. But now that I have a good understanding of that, it would be easy for me to complete another grant, I feel like. So, it is what it is. You can take this or leave this. I don't really care. I just want to put this thing to bed because I see a lot of people fighting, over the grant stuff. My name's getting tossed into conversations. There's all these accusations against the grants team of fraud and all this stuff. And I just don't know where this stuff is coming from. I've never seen this before. Never in my life. It is what it is. I was able to complete this grant with no issues at all, really. So, I don't know, folks. I would encourage you, if you are looking to get into social media or content creation, start a channel, get it established, start cranking out videos, get a Twitter handle banging, apply for one of these grants, take the grants, invest it in new equipment. This is what I did. I built 2 YouTube sets with my Dfinity grant, right? I've got my crypto mining YouTube set and I've got this other one. So I don't know, folks. It just is what it is. Everywhere out there in the world, people are going to be unhappy about something or everything. And this just seems like it's very frivolous to be attacking a grants program, something that's designed to help community members become more engaged and actually get paid for what they're doing. You don't see this with a lot of other chains, foundations. People should be very thankful for this opportunity. They should really take this opportunity and run as far with it as they can. I guarantee you, Dfinity recognizes those that will carry that flag and really hit it home. I'm living proof of this, folks. I've done so much research into Dfinity. I've met so many great people that work at the foundation and the grants program, for that matter. So lay off these people. They're trying to do their jobs. I would suspect that it's more of the people receiving the grants that are just underperforming and can't handle it when they're getting called out. So love you all. This was a tough video to make, but that's my feelings on this current situation right now. So we'll see you guys on the next video.